Dearest listeners,
Book babes and book bros.
welcome to Book Babble. I'm Rachel,
And I'm Tanya, and we're the Witlet Women, your hosts for the day.
and today we have Jeanine with us. Would you like to do an introduction for yourself?
I'm Jeannin Counts and the author of the Celestial Whispers duology. So that consists of Secrets and Stardust and Deceit and Darkness.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We're so excited to have you in our AMA hot seat. Are you ready to babble?
I'm ready.
All right, put in 5 minutes on the clock right now.
I love the titles of your books. Can you tell us more about what you've written?
The duology, it's a fantasy romance duology and lots of celestial themes within them. So the first book, Secrets and Stardust, came about because there is a literal fallen star. So Stardust, kind of took precedence. And then Secrets because there are plenty of secrets that happen throughout the book. So.
Awesome. So, speaking of secrets, are there
Mhm.
any Easter eggs or secrets that you can tell us about your books that hasn't made it to the public yet?
Uh, yeah, so there's actually a side character who has a planned spin-off down the road. And there is not a large hint, but a very small, subtle hint of her actual identity at the end of the first book.
That's so exciting. I love when side characters get spin-offs. It's my favorite.
She's very fun.
I
Uh,
love this.
this sounds like a really fun duology in general. I'm excited about it. What is your process for writing? How do you get to, from point A to having a book?
I'm a plotter, so I plot extensively. I usually will do a three-act structure with just a broad strokes of the plot, and then I go through and I do every single chapter. So I kind of know the road, and so once I have every single chapter plotted, then I just go in and I fill in the blanks basically, and I just write it. But I kind of have to, I work full time and I'm a mom, so I write words when I can.
See, I mean, that's the way to do it though. Like such a good way because you plot it out that way in the moments that you can read or write, you get it done. So
Hmm.
I love that. Um, so okay, with the plot, are there any scenes that you've had to cut because it just didn't work in the plot? And what was that scene?
I actually haven't really cut a whole lot of scenes. I think because I plot so extensively, I can see ahead of time if something isn't quite working, and either change direction or change it or just not write it entirely.
Well, that's a good answer, actually. And it makes it easy on you.
Yeah, exactly.
So do you edit your own work or do you have an editor?
Both. So I'll do a round of self edits when I'm done, and then I will send it over to beta readers just to kind of get an idea of making sure everything's working, making sure there are no plot holes, that I might have missed. And then I do send it over to an editor.
Very nice. So, what advice would you give to an aspiring author who wants to publish their own book?
Honestly, just write the book. So it starts with just putting words on paper. You can't they say you can't fix something that isn't done, right? So as long as you're getting the words on the paper, it doesn't matter if that first draft is just trash because you can fix it. You can go through and you can alter things. So really it's just write
That's awesome. Yes, great advice.
I love it. What inspired you to write, to become an author?
It was with this book, I had the idea in my head for about 2 years or so, and I kept thinking of scenes and characters, and they just kept fleshing out in my mind. And I finally realized that nobody was going to write this story the way that I wanted to read it. And so
Mhm.
I decided to write
I love that. Sorry, I'm like
it.
excited. You're muted.
Sorry, I didn't mean to hit the mute button. One last question we're going to try to fit in.
Yeah.
What is the most unexpected reader feedback that you've gotten so far?
Um, I've had a couple people tell me that the second book actually helped them heal some of their own like traumas and stuff. And I was not expecting that because I wrote it to heal some of my own trauma. I didn't expect it to actually touch on others as well.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Congratulations for that. Like
Thank
knowing that
you.
you've touched someone like that.
Yeah.
Well, and here's
Also,
my shameless insert for May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And so
Yeah.
talking about healing and things like that, that's beautiful, especially now because we're highlighting that so much.
Yeah. Yeah, no, mental health representation is really large in both of my books. And I don't gloss over it either, you know. People go through a hard thing. It's not something that just gets brushed off.
Mhm.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, we'll continue this line of conversation in just a minute, but congratulations, you made it through the 5 minute AMA. So the 5 minute section will go on our social media channels. The full interview is going to go on YouTube and Spotify. So we'll just continue chatting for the whole episode now.
Yeah, all right.
So we had touched on mental health representation. How much do you try I can't talk. How much do you try to put that into your writing?
I try to put it a lot in there. So my FMC, Ayana, deals with anxiety, and then she goes through a traumatic thing in book one. She deals with some PTSD from that. Um, and then my crown prince, Zane, he's like a sad little bisexual man who just wants to read instead of running an empire. But
Valid.
right, but he deals with a lot of depression. And then I have another side character, Talon, who seems like the life of the party, very upbeat, very outgoing, always trying to make people laugh, but he also on the inside is dealing with depression. So it kind of just shows I try to show the different facets of mental health and just that it can look different to different people.
Yeah, I love that. Also, again, May is mental health awareness, so I'm happy that we touched on this. I would love to kind of dig into your writing journey so far. We touched on like how you knew you wanted to write, but can you walk us through like the actual journey after writing, like what it takes to publish as an indie author?
Yeah, so a lot more than I ever thought it would. So, I mean, when I first started writing, I was like, I write a book, I put the book out there, you know. I did query it for a little bit, just to see if I could get it out there, with an agent or something, but I am very impatient. And so
Same.
I I also at the same time I was doing that, I had it with an editor. I was getting a cover, that sort of thing. So um eventually I was like, you know what, this querying process is taking entirely too long. And so I just decided to put it out there myself. But yeah, you have to get it through an editor or you have to self-edit it yourself. Which is hard because you know those words and a lot of times you just skim, you know. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, you have to get a cover. You have to, I recommend having beta readers, so that they can really kind of dig into the meat of the story. And then you have to send it out to ARC readers and market and social media. And uh, a lot of being an indie author, I found is not actually writing. But
That's the general consensus that I've heard since we started our podcast.
yeah.
And that's kind of, I love focusing on that as well because so many people don't realize what else goes into it besides just writing the book.
Yeah, I had no idea. And so, I put the first book out there and I was like, great, that's done. That's out there. And then actually people started reading it. It's left it on a huge cliffhanger. And I was like, oh shoot, I have to write the second one now. And like people are actually reading this. I can't leave them on that cliff.
Oh
So
yeah, I mean that would like just that would cause a riot.
yeah, no, I kind of I did come kind of push out book two. I didn't rush it, but I forced myself to finish it quicker, just so that I wasn't leaving people on that. But yeah, I did have people waiting for almost a year on that cliffhanger.
Wow. That's devoted fans too. Like they were on it.
Yeah, no, I love
Going
them.
through it. I love that. So, is there is there any advice that you have for what comes after actually writing the book?
Um, it's putting yourself out there, which is something that's a little bit hard for me, because
Oh
I'm
yeah.
very introverted, I'd rather not put myself out there. But it's um it's just shooting your shot, trying to get into book boxes or, special editions or podcasts or, anything like that. Even just kind of doing giveaways sometimes with other established authors is super helpful. So,
Nice. I love that. And I'm sure all of the authors listening are going to love it as well. So last question. We are almost at time. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about before we wrap up?
um, I have the prequel to the duology coming out in August. It's called Between Stars and Salvation. There's new characters. It takes place 1,000 years before the events of the duology. And so that's it's a little fun. There's different characters, but it still ties in. It's a standalone, so you can technically read it before or after. It doesn't really matter. To You don't have to read one to understand the other because it's a complete story in and of itself.
Very exciting. I love that. Like, thank you for continuing the world. I get so attached to characters and worlds. I'm just like, I don't want to leave.
I know. No, I definitely love my characters. My main characters at the end of the duology, I feel like are in a good place and I feel like that they deserve, a good life and they're finished. But I do have a couple side characters that might be getting their own story.
Yay. Yay. All right. Well, I do want to thank you again for coming on. I think we're just right at time, so we can wrap up. But thank you so much.
Yeah,
And I'm looking forward to your prequel in August.
yeah, thank you.
Thanks
Thanks.
for coming. Have a good day.
Have a
You
good one.
too.
Bye.
Bye.